Hi, so in this video we are going to discuss the mail merge features in Word. In the previous video we talked about building a database using Excel, and in this video we're actually going to use that database and put that information into these letters. We're going to be creating more than one letter at the same time. So it's a great feature for doing a mass mailing, and it can be anywhere from 3 letters to 300 letters. So what I have here is the framework of the letter that I want to send out. And for me personally, when you're networking and you're following up, you really need to personalize that information. We've all received those letters that are just stock letters that somebody's just sent out, and it's really hard to make that connection when it's obvious that the sender just didn't care enough to remember you. And all you really are is a referral source, you're a source of income, and really we want to create that personal connection because we want to build something that lasts over time, not just in the short run. There is a saying in marketing which goes, people do business with people they know, like, and respect. And it's the same thing when you're networking. Think about this as you're marketing yourself. So you want to market yourself so that people get to know you, they get to like you, and they get to respect you. And a way to do that is by creating a connection, creating a relationship, and then sustaining that relationship over time. So for here, what we're going to do is, as you'll notice in some of these areas, I've got things highlighted in red. This is the part of the letter that I want to personalize. And for me, I'm very visual, and it is in red so that I remember it. So now that I've seen it, I'm actually going to highlight it. I'm going to come back here, and all I need to do is click on this A because I see the black bar in there, and it's going to turn everything to the same color. And now I can start editing this. So we were at the Omni conference last week, and it was a pleasure. And I've misspelled a word even though it's spelled correctly. And it's one of those things about proofreading. So it was a pleasure talking to you about. And I am just going to say the volatility of the stock market and how it'll impact the future of retirement planning. Let's just, the Omni conference was a wealth management conference. Those discuss a lot of different things. And you want to say, I was impressed with her take on wealth management and the future of 401ks. Let's meet for coffee. I'd like to talk to you something more about. It's got to be something you have in common or something that was of interest about how you approach retirement planning. And then in that you'll say you'll either call or email. So for our purposes here, I'm actually just going to call because I've got their contact information. And then we're done. So, and then it says, I've got the regards, the name, and I also put in a phone number. It's a really great, so if they want to get in touch with you, you've got a way to get in touch with them. You might even want to put in an email address. So, it's stockbroker.com. Okay, so you've got an email address, you've got and a phone number. So you've got 2 ways for somebody to get in contact with you. It's always really important to put your contact information on a letter. So we've got this done. So this is where we're going to go ahead and start the mail merge. So we want to start a mail merge. We have letters. It's good. We're going to select the recipients. We're going to use that database that we created. Go into Nora's network. Since we've been here once already when we go through this, it's going to always come back to the same database, the same folder, which makes it very much easier. So we want to hit Show All and then OK. Now this is the referral club because that's who we were meeting at this wealth management conference. We're going to hit OK because we want to make sure we pull that data from the correct sheet. Going to address block, and as you'll see when we go in here, the fields aren't matched, so we need to go in and do that. So we're going to go in here, and rather than title, because this means job title, and you'll see here that you have the headings for the columns that we put in our database are here, but they're not completely matched. So it's our job then to go and match things up. So we actually want courtesy title, courtesy. So first name, last name is correct. And you'll notice that in here in company it says title. So I am actually just going to go back and show you what happens if you put company and address line number 1 in here. So everything's matching. Okay, so you go in here, but you have no job title. So what we do for that is actually, that's why when in company, you go ahead and put title. In address 1, you put company. Address line number 2, you put address line number 1. So we'll hit OK, and then all of our information is in there. For some reason, sometimes this stuff just doesn't populate the way you want it to. And I did forget one other thing, because we actually do have an email address on there, and if you don't, we have to put non-match, because what will happen is, because we've matched the email address to the email address, when you go to save this and print this, it'll actually send it out as an email as well. So you really don't want that to happen. So we're going to hit OK, and now we have the address block. I'm going to put a couple lines in here. I'm going to put a greeting line. And the same thing, we come in here, we've got the format, we want dear. We're going to come back, and I like to be relatively informal, so I'm going to use the shortened version of the name. So Dear Josh, it just creates a better connection. We're going to hit results, and we're going to go through this. So we've letter to Sue, Joe, and Bob. And then what I've done here is I'm going through and I notice I had some empty spaces, so I've actually created another letter to Dear Sir and Madam, because I did not edit my recipient list. So let's go back and edit that in. So actually what I'm going to do is just send letters to Smith, Jones, and Johnson. I actually put myself in here as a check for the emails. So I'm not going to send a letter to this, but I like to do this for the emails, because then I will send one to myself. I always have that receipt that I actually did send out those emails. So here we go. We've got everything. Looks good. I've got my 3 letters. Go through it again. And it's there. But you notice that there's a lot of space in here, which I don't really like. I like it to be all closer together. So I'm actually going to come in and put remove space after paragraph, and that actually creates a nice tighter address block, and it actually puts the emphasis back on the letter. So what I'm going to do here is take a look and see how it looks on the page. I like that there is some space, but you could put a business card there. You can write something. There's a lot of things you can do with that. So you want to really make sure that this is set up properly. And then you'll also maybe add some spaces, so if you're putting on letterhead and things like that. But this, this looks good. So I'm going to go back to mailings, and I'm actually going to do finish and merge. But what I like to do, rather than just looking at this way, so let's say I want to edit these individual documents, and I want to change the information. So I am going to go here, and I'm going to edit individual documents. I'm going to put all. Okay. And so now I have 3 separate letters. So I can leave it the same, because possibly I talked about all these to these 3 people about the same thing, or I can change some of this. Maybe I talked to Joe about guardianships or other parts of wealth management, or building a portfolio, that kind of thing. So I can edit these separately, and so everybody can have basically the same framework but slightly different letters. And we go back to the mailings, and so I like this. So it looks good. Everything's spelled properly. I will go ahead and I can print it from here, but I'm also going to save it. So, and I'm actually going to take it, put it in my Network Your Way to Success folder, and I am going to name this the Omni Conference Letter to Sue, Joe, Bob on April 7th, 17. And so what that does for me, once I save it in there, when I go back in there, I know exactly who I sent the letter to, and I know exactly when I sent the letter. So that maybe next quarter, I want to follow up, and I'll know whether or not I have. So, and I'll know exactly when I did. So I may reference back to that letter and say, Dear Sue, I sent your letter in April. I can't believe it's been 3-4 months, however long it's been since we've talked. So I'm going to save that, and then it comes back to here, print it out, and there you have it. So like I said, this can be done for as few as 3, as many as 300. And just thank you so much for taking the time to listen to the video. And the next one we will talk about was envelopes, and the one after that will be email merge. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.